Oh, I'm not tardy for this one. Right on time. Like you guys are on a little bit of a delay, so trust me. I hit it right when it hit 0-0 because the Texans in a victory today, in which it was not as without sloppiness as you would have preferred, but some really, really good things. First and foremost, and thanks to BetUS for sponsoring this video. First and foremost, that the Texans have a 1-2 punch offensively. You get over 200 yards rushing on a day when a defense decides to try like hell to take away your passing game. Joe Mixon shows up averaging over 5 yards per carry, 159 yards on the ground. I lost count at some point. And the offensive line, despite their issues in pass protection, did some really, really good things. Going to hear a couple clips from D'Amico, show you a few clips from the game. This is not an exhaustive film review. These are just ones that I grabbed at random, but a lot to be happy about in this game. I also think an appropriate amount of fear perhaps struck into the hearts of some of the veteran players in the defensive backfield, players where positions where they drafted a young safety this year, perhaps to take those. We'll get to all that. But I think most of all of the many positive performances in this game, Joe Mixon is a revelation. Joe Mixon being able to run behind an offensive line that looked a lot more like they knew what they were doing in the run game, but that also faced more light boxes than he might have. He faced a lot of light boxes in Cincinnati, but Cincinnati's running game, they had just evolved into something that didn't quite suit Joe Mixon. This suits Joe Mixon. Dameon Pierce, 3 carries for 16 yards. So I told you before that I hoped like hell I was wrong about Dameon Pierce. So far, so good on the Seth Payne apology tour for being wrong. I know I'm going to be wrong about things in this life, but if I can choose what I'm wrong about, that was number one on the list of things to be wrong about. Aside from various other, I've gotten lucky on some poor birth control situations decades ago, but that all worked out as well. So, D'Amico, let's start with the positives, then we'll move on to some of the negatives, pass protection, safety play, all of that. But D'Amico, just on Joe Mixon himself.
Yeah, it starts with our.
Hold on a second. Let me plug my headphones in. Otherwise, there'll be feedback. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but every now and then I have audio issues on this. All right, you guys can all hear me? That's good. Okay, here we go.
Like, the way they controlled the line of scrimmage was awesome, right? And then Joe, he stepped up big time for us. Well, we needed him to run the ball. He did. They knew it was run. We knew it was run, and he still made the play. So, man, just excited to have him on our side. You know, we've seen it all training camp, and it was exciting to see him do it here his first game.
Okay, real quick before I show you that play, the key thing that D'Amico said was they ran the ball when the defense knew that it was run. One of the plays I got most excited about in the game was when they were closing it out and Mixon had a 3-yard run to make it 3rd and 3. So, right, 3-yard run, that's not what you need there, right? It was against a loaded box. So you saw a defense trying like hell to stop the run, and the Texans still made positive yardage. Running against light boxes is hard enough in the NFL, but they did it at times today versus loaded boxes versus a blitz in a couple occasions. So that part is a very positive development. But this right here, I want you to watch this play, and we're going to watch our old friend Kenyon Green, he of the revamped body. Okay, left guard. I hadn't any time to really do a chalk talk on this. I'm going to do this on KHOU tonight so you can see a better version of this. But the left guard, Kenyon Green, gets off, hits the defensive tackle. Laramie Tunsil takes over. And watch. This is important here. I saw a couple of you make comments about Zaire Franklin, the linebacker who's been talking smack all offseason. Watch Kenyon Green. Works up to Zaire Franklin, and then just take that. He's flailing like he's like he was in Die Hard or something, falling out of a building. That's Kenyon Green doing that. Got a better angle coming up here. Kenyon Green, little shove to help Laramie overtake the defensive tackle, and then. Oh, that's right. I did a voiceover on this earlier. So just, I'm sorry, Zaire Franklin. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that Joe Mixon averaged 5.3 yards per carry against you today. I'm sorry that Tank Dell, that can't possibly be. Is that right? Oh, Tank Dell, yeah. Damian Pierce averaged 5.3 yards per carry. I'm sorry that the offensive line finally figured out how to block. My God. Watch Juice Scruggs on this also. Juice Scruggs, the center. Ignore the little red circle. Does exactly what you're supposed to do in zone. Is like you don't have to dominate one of these two defensive tackles who are one of the best tandems in the league. You just take him where he wants to go. Mixon with his great vision for the cutback comes back, and also Laramie Tunsil with a gentleman's hold, I like to call it. Not gonna he gets away with it, and Dalton Schultz with a block too. So those are all very positive developments versus a team in the Colts that I think really thought, hey, the strength of our defense is the front seven. We're going to help the back end out. We'll play coverage, and the Texans victimized the front seven. So there's going to be defenses the Texans face where they feel like their secondary is the strength, and they'll maybe just leave those defensive backs to their own devices to try to take care of Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, and so be it. This is a genuine 1-2 punch, and it's really exciting to see. D'Amico on CJ Stroud. Or this. Another play by Joe Mixon. That's right. Okay. Joe Mixon. This, I mean, this is beautiful because the cutback lane is what you're looking for, and it looks all gunked up in the front. But Juice Scruggs runs his guy. There's penetration, but Juice Scruggs runs his guy, and Joe Mixon just seamlessly hits that seam. I mean, Mixon's ability to handle penetration into the backfield, but even on plays like that where it's not the end of the world. We used to see this with Chris Myers, remember? People would get frustrated sometimes because Chris Myers was an undersized center, but there's times where in zone blocking where it's okay if guys are given some ground a little bit as long as they're washing people away and the cutback lane is there. So 100 full bore credit to Joe Mixon, but also this comes behind an offensive line that looks much more like they know what they're doing. And they did it against a very good front seven today. Now, as promised 45 seconds ago, here is D'Amico about CJ Stroud.
Yeah, CJ, I mean, he made a lot of good plays for us. He was pressured a lot, but he still moved around and made plays. Escaped the pocket. The plays on the move were really exciting plays to see.
Okay, this caught my eye. Just not that one, but this one. Okay. Bears fans are here. Ooh. Look, this will be short-lived as the Bears defense is going to destroy CJ Stroud. Remember you talking bleep about the Bears, CJ. That's not true. Maybe he did. I don't know if he did or not. We coming to Houston. Snack time because you're a mighty bear. Grrr. How'd Caleb look today? Okay. Let's see. This was one of the better plays today. Again, this is not an exhaustive film study. Okay. D'Amico talked about CJ on the move, and this play was more about coverage. The Colts did a good job in coverage, so there was adequate protection. But CJ moves to the open spot in the pocket, resets it, and then boom, crosses body to Tank Dell. I like that one because it was kind of almost like there was the one to Nico later that was even better. That's the one you should have grabbed, Seth. My God. Very, very good by CJ. Had some dicey moments in the game. I think the Colts didn't capitalize on a couple opportunities that they did have, but the pass protection, it wasn't always just individual breakdowns. It was also a little bit of Gus Bradley, the defensive coordinator for the Colts, does a really good job of just not blitzing that often, but when he does blitz, it's really, really good. This is one more CJ play. This might be the one to Nico. Oh, no, it was not the one to Nico. Not even one bit. That wasn't even close. Okay, let's watch this again. So this is an overload blitz. And again, Gus Bradley does a good job with this stuff. So watch the left side of the offensive line. I know it's tempting to just crush Laramie Tunsil on this play. He was accounting for the blitzer that he saw coming, and he got a little bit, but it's not. This shouldn't happen. Look, I predicted that Laramie was going to be really good against Latu, the rookie. Latu, I think it's Latu. Latu had some really nice snaps versus Laramie, and I'm all right. Yeah, I'm not making it. Yeah, it was an overload blitz. There were 3 defenders to 2 blockers on that side, but that was silky smooth. This is going to be a battle. Laramie looked rusty today at times, and he had some really good plays like the one I just showed you in the run game. But some of this, like Laramie's strengths are his hands. One of his strengths are his hands, and just got chopped and dumped, and wasn't all that great on the rest of the side of it either, too. So I don't want to move on exclusively to negatives or anything. Let's talk about me for 27 seconds because I locked in the Texans, remember? Let's see. Let me get rid of D'Amico here for a second. I locked in the Texans when they were -1. The line ended up moving up to -3 for the Texans, but I locked them in when they were -1. So I won that bet today. But then also the over. I took the over, went over to BetUS. Boom. Saw the over, locked it in, placed my bet. It was a good weekend for me. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody that was involved. If you want to go to BetUS, you can get a 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 with the offer code YouTube150. The 150 stands for 150%. So the negatives. There was some, I don't know if you guys noticed, there's some issues with explosive plays on offense. It was really an awesome day defensively, except for the minor detail of the couple of huge touchdown gashes. But here's D'Amico on some of the things they need to clean up.
Oh, made plays when we had to, but not good enough, right? Got to eliminate the big plays. That's when you give up points. When you give up the big plays, that equal points. So overall, we had some good spurts there, good on third down, but just the last one just cannot happen.
Yeah. Look, Jimmy Ward. I love Jimmy Ward. I love his appetite for violence. I love all those things, but you got to have safety help when you're supposed to have safety help. Derek Stingley got really lucky on the one play where, look, Anthony Richardson's going to Anthony Richardson. This is the Anthony Richardson experience. I have no idea if he's going to end up being a genuinely good NFL quarterback, but on any given Sunday, he's a nightmare. He's a nightmare because he can make the great throws. One of those throws he made under pressure off his left foot as he was getting knocked sideways, but then he also airmails it at random times. I mean, he ends up on the day. And a day where he had 2 passing touchdowns, 212 yards passing, but they were big blows. He was 9 for 19. And but I don't care. He could throw 50% the entire season, and it's a nightmare when he's healthy and he's got Jonathan Taylor and he's got Shane Steichen as his offensive coordinator. They do a great job scheming things up and using the RPO. So the positive on the defensive side for me, aside from I thought the pass rush for the most part was very disciplined. I thought that you've got 2 defensive tackles who are decidedly not known pass rushers with the 2 sacks by the Texans today, partly because they did a good job, but also the pocket was contained. Or when Danielle Hunter made an inside move, it was either Mario Edwards or Fadikase on that one, came outside and made the tackle. I thought they did a pretty good job of compressing the pocket, not letting Anthony Richardson leak out too much. In the run game, look, Richardson gets, how many yards did he have rushing? 56. He was the leading rusher. He was leading rusher for the Colts today with 56 yards rushing. Jonathan Taylor had 48 yards. Jonathan Taylor averaged 3 yards per carry, had 48 yards rushing. Anthony Richardson had 56 yards. Look, he's going to get yardage running the ball. And there were a couple times where the defense was not on its P's and Q's, but they also did some things that modern defenses have learned to do in the last couple of years versus the RPO, where You might think by the conventional rules that the defensive end should have had the quarterback, but on various plays, the defensive end has the green light to just go. And there was at least one time where a linebacker didn't get out there. But for the most part, the big difference this year compared to last year was that the linebackers on the whole were very disciplined in their run pass reads on the RPO. So they were aggressive when they should have been aggressive. They end up holding Jonathan Taylor to 3 yards per carry, but they stayed back in coverage too. And Alshire had that near interception early on. It was a rifle of a ball, so I don't know if either of those guys could have handled that ball or not. And there are a couple blips here and there, but on the whole, I thought they did a good job going against an offensive coordinator who really knows what he's doing. I mean, Shane Steichen, I have the utmost respect for him as a coordinator. I hope that he ends up sucking as a head coach. I hope he's one of these guys that's just brilliant offensively, but they just slowly fall apart defensively. A fella can only dream. But that was good. Defensive backfield has to clean some of this stuff up. Kamari Lassiter's going to learn some very good plays today, but also some scary plays. That's going to be and some of that relies on the pass rush being really consistently fearsome. The Colts did a pretty good job scheming protection today, using multiple bodies when they needed to, but there are other times where they just did that's a good offensive line. I mean, this Colts team is it's a good, well-built, solid football team. Their front seven is genuinely good. So I feel good about them. And let me look through this and see if other than Bears stuff, let me see. Tell me the players that I'm missing that I haven't talked about that I need to be talking about more. Like Kalen Bullock, I'm really excited about. The ball skills. Yes, this. Thank you. Since we were talking about the linebackers. For one, count Jalen Petrie as a linebacker. A lot of times when they're in nickel, he's playing linebacker. So he's got those same RPO responsibilities. And so far, I haven't gone back and watched everything super, super close yet, but the linebackers in general did a good enough job. But Henry To'oTo'o, I mean, from the very beginning, he's faster. And I saw this in camp. And the first couple of weeks, I actually didn't think this of him. I didn't think he looked as good athletically as some of the other guys that he was competing with. I think over time, and I think with To'oTo'o, a lot of it is confidence. Remember, D'Amico said this about Christian Harris last year, that when he turned it on midway through the season, some of it was just Christian Harris really trusting his reads, trusting himself, and just unleashing all his athleticism. To'oTo'o slimmed down in the offseason. You could see it immediately when he showed up at camp. He had like sunken cheeks, like he was Loudon Swain sucking weight for a wrestling match or something. But he looked very good. There was the tackle for the loss that he had. I mean, that was silky smooth. He didn't make it out to Anthony Richardson on that one run around to the left. But that's one play where, at the time, at least watching in real time, I kind of just chalked that up to Anthony Richardson being Anthony Richardson. And that's what you get on some of these plays where the defense did play it correctly, but Anthony Richardson's going to find some open space as long as it's not the variety that it was last year in week 2 when it's 2 touchdowns for 25 plus yards. The one play when he pulled the ball down and ran up the middle, that's going to happen. I think he's got a Lamar Jackson like green light where if he sees that the coverage is advantageous, just pull it down and go. Just turn every play's an RPO. So he's not as smart yet as Lamar Jackson. He doesn't have the experience. That was his 18th start since high school today. So that's the other part with Anthony Richardson to keep an eye on is, all right, this guy, boy, he can really, really do some good things. And it's a matter of just ironing out some of this other stuff. But ironing out the other stuff is kind of a big deal. He completed 59% of his passes today, last year. Today it was less than 50%, but completed 59% of his passes last year in a very small sample size. But that play on the first series where he airmails it on what could have been an easy first down, that's the difference between 59% and 65%. 59% is acceptable in 1993, but not in this day and age, unless you really offset it with a lot of other stuff. And then the other big part of him is just staying healthy, just not being a jerk or anything. This is 18th start since high school, and it's not all because he just came out early for the draft. The guy's been banged up a lot. Also didn't finish his last year of high school with an injury. So If he's given up the parkour, then so be it. Any other names that I have not mentioned yet that deserve? Whoever got beat in the punt block, that's a good one. Props to Slowick for adjusting to the pass rush with screens and quick game. I think one of the big challenges for CJ today, which I thought he handled pretty well, was biding his time, right? I mean, this is something that Tom Brady was great at. Tom Brady had zero ego about it. If the game unfolded in such a way, lots of times it was versus the Colts, then the Patriots would go ahead and rush for 300 yards versus the Colts in their pretty white uniforms. And that's what it demanded today. It's like, all right, if they're going to plaster and blanket everything deep, we're just going to go ahead and dink and dunk. We'll take our deep shots, but we'll also just run the ball down your throat. And it got better. That was the other thing too. It very much felt like it picked up steam as the game went along. And a lot of times volume backs or volume running is a little bit overstated. It's a little bit more of a nice story, but it doesn't really happen. I think today over time, they ground that defense down. The offensive line kind of congealed as they went, and it was good stuff. Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, yes. You want physicality on your football team? If you watch the reaction I did right after the game to the highlights that they put up on YouTube, there's a 7-second sequence where I am whining and complaining about how stupid the new kickoff rules are, and I wish they'd stop showing the highlights. And then all of a sudden, I was reminded that British Brooks almost destroyed an entire family line. Like that dude's ancestors felt that in their graves when British Brooks hit that dude. So British Brooks being active was good for special teams. Obviously, Dameon Pierce was active. And again, if you're just joining the live stream, Dameon Pierce averaged over 5 yards per carry on just 3 carries today. But like I will never be more ecstatic and elated to be wrong about anything as if I'm wrong about my skepticism over Dameon Pierce this year, because that's a very, very good sign. And we don't want Joe Mixon necessarily having 30 carries per game every I mean, it's an impossibility. He can't go 30 carries every single game. Simone Biles, that's right. Is he with the he's with the Packers now, right? No, he's with the Bears now. Right. Yeah. Okay. We get to see Mr. Simone Biles. We had a touchdown today next week. Let's see. Mario Edwards, thank you. Yeah. Mario Edwards is our old trash. So that's the Judah Tribe guy. You're cute, Judah Tribe. I like that you give yourself a badass name. Like, I'm coming on the internet and I call myself Judah. Unless it's some reference I don't know about or something. You always got to respect the guys talking tough on the. Oh, wait, let me look at his Avi. I bet he's got a really badass Avi too. Let me see this. Hold on. Looks like you're doing some kind of. I can't see. Looks like you're trying to look real tough. I don't know if that's if that's your deal or not. But congratulations to you on your victory over Will Levis. He's so bad. I can't wait to watch that game. I've got a lot of subscribers who actually think I'm a Bears fan because I did a reaction video to Caleb Williams, and they're gonna hate me, like really hate me. Actually, Judah Tribe might have been one of them. All right, British Brooks. I gave a shout out to British Brooks. Let's see, who else? Slowick. Shout out to Slowick. Put him up on the big screen. Let's see. Texans fans were trolling today. Good. Trolling good today in Indy fan live streams. All right. Let's see. I guess Judah Tribe's gone. Is it? Okay. Oh, here we go. It's the ghost of Judah Tribe. That Judah Tribe is back up. I don't know what Judah Tribe is, man. So at this point, I'm really fearful that it's some kind of anti-Semitic reference or something that I'm gonna whatever I said. Know that I said it in ignorance of what Judah Tribe is. Okay. If Judah Tribe is actually a good thing, just whatever. How did you feel about Will Anderson and Hunter? Okay, good question. I thought that they were doing really good work, again, compressing the pocket. You saw one of the defensive tackle sacks. Will Anderson had a really nice bull rush, drove his guy right into Anthony Richardson. So that part of it was good. There was, two swipes in a row of Anthony Richardson's throwing hand. And I believe one of them was by Danielle Hunter. So I got to go back and watch every snap before I can say anything conclusively about those guys. But I think today was a classic day where the sack total doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. I thought there was good pressure and good discipline in keeping Anthony Richardson contained and uncomfortable. And I'm not trying to give praise that I wouldn't in a loss or anything. I'd be saying this in a loss and people would be complaining about me being too nice. But so far we'll see. I am looking forward to this Bills Sunday night game too. And as you guys know, I'm usually in bed by this hour. So the Sunday night game is one in which I need to be fueled by this win to really keep it up with that. Let's see. I feel stupid. Where'd you go, Mike? Mike's book reviews. I feel stupid worrying about Mixon's health during training camp. No, listen, Mike, never feel stupid for worrying about anything or possibly say for saying that you think that they might be holding on to Dameon Pierce too long, like I had said. Mike, you called me out on something that I was wrong about earlier today. Politely. You weren't a jerk about it or anything. CJ Stroud is just a pretty boy. I like Judah Tribe. Judah, I need you to come back all this week. Colts linemen were breaking off to double team Hunter or Will. Yeah, there was and a lot of chip blocks. So again, I think they were scheming up protection pretty well. So what you hope is that, all right, if they're committing extra bodies to the defensive line, then you just got to be taking care of business on the back end. The worry I have about the defense is that they're kind of picking up where they left off last year, where, man, these guys are playing some good defense. Crap. That was it last year. They would play really, really, really good defense until they played horrendous defense. And that's what today was. So I'm not worried about it while they're facing, Anthony Richardson, a semi-rookie, Caleb Williams, a rookie. Caleb's going to be a better quarterback next week than he was this week. That's just the way it goes. Guys tend to take pretty big leaps in their first few appearances in the NFL. I think that goes for any position, but there is an adjustment period there. So I have not been fortunate enough to watch that Bears game yet, but I will probably around Tuesday or Wednesday. Yeah. Cade Stover and Schultz lead blocking. I showed a good shot of Schultz blocking inline earlier. And they were the old hybrid fullbacks that I'm always skeptical of. I thought today those guys did a really good job of sorting things out. And really, when you've got a tight end playing fullback, it's not as much about hoping that they deliver blistering hits or anything. It's just sort things out and get where you're supposed to be and put your body between the tackler and Joe Mixon. I thought they did a good job of that. And there's probably a couple good plays that I missed too. Maybe there were some physically imposing blocks. But yeah, I thought overall everything was pretty good. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by you guys tearing into Judah. All right, more people. Give me more people that I've ignored. Kalen Bullock, I've mentioned already. Kalen Bullock, I think the big thing about that, let's try to credit whoever just said Kalen Bullock. The big thing about that interception was, hopefully Bullock can take over from Jimmy Ward. I'm guessing that's what that's a reference to. I think with Kalen Bullock, they love his upside. I think that they're just probably going to do what they do with lots of young rookies is how much can we trust this guy? All right. Can we trust him as much as the guy that he's replacing? Is he not going to make huge mistakes? But man, the ball skills are undeniable. I don't care if that receiver slipped. I'm not convinced that it was a perfect pass, like one of the color commentators said, but in making that interception, it kind of reminded me of Derek Stingley last year when he had that interception versus the Browns. Was the Browns or whichever team it was, when Will Anderson tipped the ball. So it wasn't like the interception was because of Derek Stingley's cover skills, but making the play on the ball was very much about his ball skills. And I think Kalen Bullock showed that in that interception today. So very excited about him. Very excited about him. All right, I'm going to Kaimi Fairbairn was MVP today. The clock stuff, man, we can talk about that. Shaq Mason wasn't at very least Shaq Mason on that game where DeForest Buckner got the tackle. Yeah, that was a rough one. That was a rough one. So thanks again to BetUS. I'm going to do a couple more. I'm going to churn out some videos over the next couple days. I know I promised that in the past, but I think I figured out all the technical difficulties and issues, and also just the joy of doing it when we're in a situation as we are. Everybody have an awesome, awesome evening. Get some sleep and get ready for the Chicago